Every life tells a story. Join Frank Julian as he shares his one chapter at a time from Story of a Soul 2, releasing every Wednesday.
The Story of a Soul 2 by Frank Julian with Sean O'Neill, narrated by Frank Julian. Chapter 22. I felt like Job. I decided to do something foolish, opting to work 5 16-hour shifts on afternoons and midnights. I wanted to escape people, but I only drained myself more. I lasted only 4 months. I was withdrawing from the ministry at church too. I prayed but did not know what to do. I felt like Job. I had known the close presence of God, but I wasn't feeling it now. I was depressed. Some of the darkest times in our lives are seasons of preparation. This is what this season turned out to be for me. I didn't know it at the time. The prophetic words spoken over me did come to pass. It just took time. In my case, some took at least 30 years. There was nothing I could do but go forward. I knew that I had to get my biorhythms back in order. My eating and sleeping routines were entirely out of whack, and I had to start having panic attacks and all kinds of fears. My mother and family were dealing with their grief from my father's death. Peggy and the kids had their lives. Peggy finally said to me, "You need professional help." I had to start a new job and thought I could do it all myself. But another strange happening occurred. The phone rang while I was home. The kids were at school, and Peggy had started a new full-time job with Oakwood Home Care. I answered the phone, and on the other end of the line was a familiar voice. Barbara and I greeted each other, and then she said, "I have a home care job for Peggy." I said, "She has one, but can I have it?" "Sure," she said. "It's yours." I went and got the job. It was Monday through Friday, day shift, focusing completely on in-home care. I was still finishing the other job and had to go to work on afternoon shifts. I talked to Peggy later and told her what happened. She said, "I thought you hated home care." I said, "I need the regular hours." It turned out that home care had changed. I would be paid per visit at my own pace. It was very different from my previous experience. I started to work for Prime Care Home Care. I can't say that I loved it. I felt alone in the car and would do paperwork at home alone. I was surviving, not thriving. I continued to seek God's help, but He directed me to a doctor. I reluctantly agreed to take antidepressant medication. It was very humbling, but all my symptoms did go away eventually. I feel, a demonic visitation while I was driving, wanting to kill me. It scared me and left me with driving fears for years. This was during the spring months of 1993. Another strange and marvelous intervention took place soon thereafter. I got a call from my boss, Linda. She offered me a position in a senior assisted living center doing home care. I would come to love that position and stayed with it for 20 years in varying degrees. I had found my groove. I began to sleep better and re-entered the ministry at the church. God had kept me, even though virtually no one had known the pain I was experiencing. I knew again the experience of being saved. That Memorial Day weekend, we were camping with the Bassios and their children. It was the 1-year anniversary of my father's death. They said, "You need to see a movie." I said, "Okay." They said, "You need to see Footloose." We watched a minister shut down his life because his son was killed in a drunk driving accident. He had wanted to shut down everybody else's life too. A young guy, new to the town, comes in and wants to have a prom dance. He goes to the city council to appeal and brings his Bible. The star, Kevin Bacon, speaks to the minister and says from the book of Ecclesiastes, "There's a time to mourn and there's a time to dance. It was right for you to mourn, but now it's time for you to dance." They had their dance. A sword pierced my heart. It was right that I had mourned for my dad. Now it was time to dance. It was then that I started to live again. The rhythm of life came back to my body, mind, and spirit. I began to heal. A soul rooted in healing takes time. I began to heal in waves. It would all ebb out of me, the bitterness of life and defeat. I hated it, and yet it was true when people would say to me, "You're going to be a better nurse and pastor because of this." I wanted to scream. "I don't care about that. Just make me happy again." Happiness would come, but joy in the depth of my soul had to come first. I felt the Lord say to me, "Yours is a private suffering. People will see you smile and never know the pain that you've been through. I knew I had to share this side of my life to balance all the miraculous encounters. I continued to nurse, parent, preach, pray, and to be a husband, son, and friend. Life had settled, but I was prepared now for the next step. The small church I had visited in 1990 had grown, and the plans for it to buy the larger church on the corner proceeded. This deal had been in discussion for 4 years. I wasn't ready until this particular point in time. Pastor Basio was to retire, his son would be senior pastor, and I would be the associate pastor. I was ordained as a pastor in the CCNA in November 1997. We had made the big move to the larger church.
Thank you for listening. Join Frank Julian every Wednesday for a new chapter of Story of a Soul 2. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter.